Hello, dear yogis, namaste. Another Shiva story for you. This one also by request, like the last one. And it kind of picks up where the last one left off. And so this is the story of Parvati's Tapasya. Tapas is a beautiful word in yoga. It means heat, austerities, discipline. But it also means, and this is what a teacher said to me many, many years ago, it's the willingness to go through the fire, knowing that transformation is on the other side. So it's not just fire for the sake of fire, difficulty for the sake of difficulty, but there's a clear acknowledgement that this is for your spiritual growth. And so we left off with Shiva's first wife, Sati, burning up in flames. And so after this whole incident, Shiva goes into a state of deep meditation. He retreats from the world completely, and for many, many days, not even just days, months, years go by of Shiva not even opening his eyes. He's just sitting in one spot in the forest, meditating deeply. Now, meanwhile, Sati has been reincarnated, and she's now Parvati. And Parvati has this deep longing to find Shiva and marry him. She knows that this is her true destiny. She just wants nothing else, single-pointed focus. And so she goes to find Shiva, and she sees him. He's there in the forest clearing, meditating. And she tries to get his attention, but he won't open his eyes. He doesn't acknowledge that there's anyone else there. And so she spends many, many days staying there by his side, and she's like cleaning all around him and taking care of his little spot and putting fresh flowers out and sweeping up. And day after day, Shiva doesn't even notice her. Now, Parvati's father has been watching all this. Himavat is his name, and he's really mad. He's like, come on, my daughter is perfect. She's wonderful, she's kind, she's spiritual, she's beautiful inside and out. Shiva is really insulting her by not opening his eyes and acknowledging her. And so Himavat decides he's going to play a little trick on Shiva, and he goes to find Kama, who's the god of lust and desire. He's the Kama of the Kama Sutra. And so he gets Kama into the scheme with him that they're going to shoot some of Kama's flower arrows into Shiva's heart so that he falls in love with Parvati. And so Kama gets his sugarcane bow and 5 flower arrows, and he points it right at Shiva's heart, and boom, 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 5 in a row, right into the heart of Shiva, where he opens his eyes. He sees Parvati, but then he sees Kama with his bow and arrow, and he knows exactly what happened, and he's so mad that someone would disturb his meditation, so mad at himself at this feeling of lust and love that all of a sudden is stirring in his heart, and he's thinking, no, I'm a yogi, I'm not supposed to feel that. I want to be just like meditating. I want to be detached from this world. And so he opens his third eye, and he burns Kama to ashes, and then he goes back into deep meditation. And again, no one can stir him. And so Parvati now takes it upon herself. She says, okay, fine. If that didn't work, then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to meditate so deeply that my tapasya, my extreme devotion, my willingness to really walk the path with so much passion is going to call not just Shiva to me, it's going to call anything I want to me. And so she sits and she meditates and she chants, and then she starts to do even more intense practices. In the summertime, she surrounds herself with fires burning, and she stands on one leg and looks up at the sun. In the winter, she immerses herself into pools of ice cold water. She does all of these incredible things. She says, I'm going to be the one who just eats nothing but wet leaves. And so she eats nothing but wet leaves for a long, long time. And then she eats nothing but dry leaves. And then she eats nothing at all, not even any water. And so she goes through all of these deep austerities because she wants to find Shiva. She wants Shiva and her to be one. And she's doing such incredible meditation and austerities that it's calling all these sages from all over the world, all over the place. They want to come see who is this incredible woman in the forest who's doing such amazing practices like we've never seen before with such intensity. And she's made it so that all the flowers have bloomed around her. She's made it so that the whole little forest clearing where she is has completely bloomed. It's like springtime 24/7. There's deer, there's animals. The deer, all the little animals are so attracted by her power that they've all come to surround her. And so finally Shiva notices, he's still deep in his meditation, but he feels this power around him. And he opens his eyes and he sees Parvati in her deep meditation. And he thinks, okay, let me see if she's the real deal here. And so he takes the form of a wandering beggar. And the beggar comes and starts to mock her. And he says, what are you doing? You look way too beautiful to be sitting here in the woods wearing nothing but tree bark, eating nothing but leaves. Why are you here? Go ahead, go back home. Go to where you have nice clothes and nice jewelry and go marry a nice boy. And she says, no, I'm waiting for Shiva. I'm here doing my tapasya to call Shiva to me. And he laughs. He says, Shiva? That dirty guy? Are you kidding me? No way. You deserve so much better than some crazy mountain man who hangs out with the ghosts and the ghouls and the cremation grounds. And Parvati gets so mad and she says, how dare you talk about him like that? It's a sin to talk about it. It's a sin even to listen. That's it. I'm out of here. She goes to get up and move away from him. And then all of a sudden, poof, there's a puff of smoke. And she looks, and the once beggar has now turned into Shiva himself. And he was so humbled and brought to his knees by the power of her love for him and her commitment and her constancy. And in that moment, he realized, yes, this is my Sati reincarnated. This is my partner. And Parvati herself, in that moment when she stood up for what she believed in and stood her ground, she truly came into her own and she realized, yes, I am Shakti, the divine feminine power that's the consort of Shiva. And the two married. It's a lovely story about, not just a girl pining for a boy, because that would just be kind of a dumb story. It's a story about our own deepest longings, I think, and our willingness to go through the challenges on this spiritual path, to reconnect with our hearts, to reconnect with our very best selves, our willingness to be different. Shiva is this sort of misfit. He doesn't quite fit into society. He's on the edges, on the outskirts. And Parvati, coming from kind of like normal society, she's willing to go sit in the woods and wear tree bark and, eat nothing but wet leaves. It's like, if you really want to find God, if you really want to transform, if you really want to shake off all of this stuff that sort of covers our true nature, you got to be willing to go to the edges. You got to be willing to be a little bit different. You got to be willing to be a rebel and a misfit, and to do things that maybe other people think are weird, or to say no to the party, or to not have to buy the fancy clothes, or things like that. But you put that energy into your spiritual practice instead. What you might have before put your energy into sort of the mundane life things or the materialistic things, you can turn your attention towards the spirit and the heart, and be as resolved as Parvati to meet your own self, and then the universe will come to you. Namaste.